I got the divorce papers by email while I was still in the desert. 13 years of marriage ended with a PDF. My name is Nathan. I'm 42, a staff sergeant with the 82nd Airborne. I'd been in Kandahar for 4 months when Becky decided she'd had enough. The subject line said, "Let's be adults about this." The email was only 3 sentences. She'd already filed. She'd already emptied our joint account. She'd already moved her boyfriend, Jeremy, into our house in Spokane. I read it twice, closed my laptop, took a shower in the communal stall, got dressed for my shift, said nothing. That night, back at the bunk, I replied with one word: understood. No argument, no begging, no threats. Wilson, my bunkmate, noticed. "You good, man?" he asked without looking up from his book. "Yeah," I said. "Just some stuff back home." He nodded and left it alone. Military guys know when to stop asking. Truth is, I wasn't surprised. 6 months before I deployed, things changed. Small things. Becky stopped asking about my day. She started working late, going to the gym, buying new clothes, making new friends I never met. She changed her phone passwords. She started acting like she was already somewhere else. I didn't confront her. I didn't spy. That's not who I am. But I wasn't blind, so I made quiet moves of my own, just precautions. I moved important documents into a storage unit across town: birth certificate, marriage license, house deed in my name, military paperwork. I moved my grandfather's watch and my mom's silver things that mattered. I opened a separate bank account and started diverting part of my pay there. Not enough for her to notice, enough that I wouldn't be left with nothing. The night before deployment, she hugged me at the airport and said, "Stay safe, okay?" Her eyes were dry, like she was hugging a coworker, not a husband going to war. I should have known then. But part of me still hoped I was wrong. I wasn't. What she didn't know was I'd prepared. What she didn't understand was I don't start fights, I finish them. We met at a friend's barbecue in 2010. I was home between tours in Spokane. She was finishing nursing school but working admin at a dental office instead. "Less stress," she said. We were married 8 months later. Becky always said she was proud of my service, but she never understood it. Her family had no military history. Her dad was a bank manager, her brother a pharmacist. She'd ask when I was going to get a real job. She didn't realize the Army was my career. We bought our house in 2014. Nothing fancy but ours. 3 bedrooms, small yard, quiet neighborhood. My name was on the mortgage because the VA loan was mine, but I added her to the deed. That's what married people do. My dad died a year after we married, heart attack while shoveling snow. My mom passed 3 years later from lung cancer. They left me some money, not a fortune, but enough for us to pay off loans and have a cushion. Ow. I deployed 4 times during our marriage. Each time I came home, Becky seemed more distant, more restless. "I didn't sign up to be a military wife," she told me once. "I'm tired of being alone," I understood. But the Army was the only place I ever felt I belonged. In 2019, things got worse. She started getting irritated when I called during her girls' nights. She talked about her friend Melissa getting divorced and living her best life. She said we had nothing in common anymore. I suggested counseling. She said we were fine. Then came the late nights, the weekends away, the new clothes, the gym membership she never used. I didn't confront her. I watched and prepared quietly because my gut was telling me something was coming. 2 weeks after the email, I was in the mess hall when my phone buzzed. Another withdrawal, $88,500. Our joint account was down to $22.37. Our savings, $47,000, was gone, transferred to an account I didn't recognize. Murphy saw my face. Bad news. I locked my phone. Just account stuff. That night I called the bank from the base. Becky had been moving money for weeks. The big transfer started the day after I deployed. I stood in the hallway for a long time. Guys laughed around me, called their families. Normal life going on while mine was falling apart. Wilson found me. "Heard you looked like a ghost," he said. "What's up?" I told him. "My wife emptied our accounts, moved her boyfriend into our house, and sent divorce papers while I was on patrol." Wilson didn't say sorry, didn't say anything motivational. He asked one question. "What's your plan?" "Not sure yet," I said. He nodded. "Let me know if you need anything." That night I couldn't sleep. I logged into our home security system, something Becky forgot I could access. The cameras showed a strange truck in our driveway, a man I didn't know walking our dog, using my coffee mug, wearing my Seahawk sweatshirt, and Becky laughing in the kitchen I renovated. Something changed in me, not anger, something colder, clearer. I made a list. Call James Army Buddy, lawyer, check VA loan terms. Contact Master Sergeant about emergency leave review, refinance documents. Check security on my pension accounts. I didn't feel sad anymore. I didn't feel angry. I felt focused. Like planning a mission. At 0500, I emailed James. Need legal help, discreet and urgent. He replied an hour later. Call me. Secure line. After that call, I knew what I had to do. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to threaten. I didn't even need to confront her. I just needed to wait and watch. Let her actions become the trap. 2 months later, I was back in America. I didn't tell Becky. Didn't call. Didn't text. I checked into a motel in Spokane under a different name and met James at a diner outside town. You look like hell, he said. Feel like it too, I replied. He slid a folder across the table, documents, bank statements, everything we discussed. Then he pulled out another paper. Found something interesting when I was digging.
Finances. That's what the paperwork was labeled. A refinance application with my signature, except it wasn't T. My signature, not exactly. Someone had tried to copy it, but they missed details. The middle initial was wrong. The stroke pattern didn't match. Becky did this, I asked, though I already knew the answer. James nodded. 3 months ago, she used the house equity to pull out $330,000. Since the VA loan is only in your name, your signature was required. Forge my signature, take out a loan against our house, then empty our accounts and divorce me, I said. Busy woman, it gets worse, James said. She listed her boyfriend as complicant. He's got a Reg 2 DUAs and a fraud charge from 2019. I took a slow breath. What are my options? Several, he said. But first, you need to decide what you want. I thought about it. I want what's legally mine, and I want her to understand the consequences. James smiled. Then here's what we do. The next day, I drove past our house. The boyfriend's truck was gone, but Becky's car sat in the driveway. I parked down the street and watched. I thought about knocking, confronting her, but that wasn't the plan. I drove to the bank instead. I met with the loan officer who processed the refinance. I showed him my military ID, my real signature on my driver's license, the forged documents. His face went pale. I'll need to report this immediately, he said. I already filed a police report, I said. That night, Becky texted me, who have you been talking to at the bank? Jeremy asked. Someone was asking questions. I didn't respond. The next day, I went to the county clerk's office and filed paperwork to contest the refinance on fraud grounds. I filed formal notice that no changes could be made to the property without my presence. 2 days later, Becky called. I let it go to voicemail. Nathan, we need to talk. The bank called about the house. What are you doing? If this is about the divorce, we can discuss it like adults. Like adults. Her words from the email. I didn't respond. James called that afternoon. They froze the refinance funds. And there's more. Your wife's boyfriend has been driving your truck, right? Jer. He got pulled over this morning. Suspended license from the DOIs. They impounded it. Good. He also had some interesting items in the truck. James continued. Prescription pads from the dental office where Becky works. Not blank. My stomach dropped. She's stealing prescription pads. Looks like it. Police are investigating. I sat on the edge of the motel bed. This was bigger than I expected. Part of me wanted to warn her old habits. But then I remembered the security footage. My house, my dog, my life being handed over like it meant nothing. No. This was the path now. I couldn't turn back. And honestly, I didn't want to. The next morning, I met the bank's fraud investigator, Thompson. Short, tired eyes, coffee stain on his tie. This happens more often than you think, he said. Spouse deploys. Other spouse sees an opportunity. What happens now? I asked. We froze the funds, he said. But some money is already gone. How much? About half. $14,600. Where did it go?
Thompson hesitated. I'm not supposed to share that it's my house. My name forged. My money stolen. He nodded slowly and turned his screen toward me. Transfers multiple payments to a name I didn't recognize. Daniel Spencer. Who's Daniel Spencer? Not my department. But your lawyer can subpoena the records. I called James immediately. Daniel Spencer, he repeated. Let me check. An hour later he called back. Spencer is a real estate agent. Specializes in quick cash sales. She was planning to sell your house. The realization hit me like a punch. She's selling our house? I whispered. Looks that way, James said. Those deposits were probably earnest money. But here's the twist, he continued. Spencer has done deals with Jeremy Ryan before. Jeremy Ryan is Becky's boyfriend. Yes, they've closed 3 deals together in the past 2 years. I sat on a park bench, stunned. This wasn't just a breakup. This was planned, a scheme. James, I said slowly, I checked Jeremy Ryan. He has a pattern. Gets involved with women going through divorce or deployed spouses. 3 cases I found. Each time, the house sells below market value to one of Spencer's clients. Jeremy gets a cut, then he moves on. And Becky? I asked. She knew? Hard to say, James said. Maybe she was a victim too. Or maybe she was in on it. I rubbed my face. This was bigger than betrayal. This was a crime, a pattern. What do we do? I asked. I contacted the FBI, James said. Financial crimes. This crosses state lines. Involves military and VA loans. You're interested. That night I sat in my motel room with a beer, thinking about everything. Wondering if Becky had played me the whole marriage. Wondering if it mattered. My phone buzzed. Becky again. Nathan, please call me. The bank says fraud and Jeremy got arrested for driving your truck? I don't understand. I stared at the message. Then typed, who is Daniel Spencer? 3 dots. Typing. Stopping again. Finally, I don't know what you're talking about. $14,600, I wrote. Multiple transfers. House listing. No response for 10 minutes. Then, it's not what you think. I turned my phone off and went to bed. The next morning, James called. FBI wants to meet, he said. They've been investigating Ryan and Spencer for months. You might be the case that breaks it open. For the first time since the divorce email, I felt something close to satisfaction, not because my marriage ended, but because the truth was finally coming out. I met the FBI agents in Spokane, Agent Patel and Agent Donovan. They recorded my statement and took copies of everything James and I had collected. Your case shows a pattern, Agent Patel said, that turns this into a conspiracy. What about Becky? I asked. My wife? I corrected myself. Ex-wife. The agents exchanged looks. We're still determining her level of involvement, Donovan said. Did she ever mention financial pressure or selling the house? I thought back. She'd complained about being house poor. She'd said we should downsize. About 6 months ago, I said. Around when she met Jeremy and refinanced. Patel made a note. Do not confront her or Ryan. We need to build the case. I nodded.
Understood. That evening, I drove back through the neighborhood and parked down the street from our house. Jeremy's truck was there again. He must have gotten it out of impound. Becky's car was gone. My phone buzzed. A text from Becky. We need to talk in person. Meet me at Riverfront Park tomorrow. I showed the text to James over breakfast the next day. Don't go, he advised. Nothing good comes from talking to her right now. I won't, I said, but I want to know what she's doing today. While she thought I was meeting her, we drove to our house at 9:30 a.m. and parked across the street. At 9:45, Becky walked out, got in her car, and drove away heading straight for Riverfront Park. Now what? James asked. Now we wait, I said. 20 minutes later, a car pulled into the driveway. A real estate agent's logo on the door, Daniel Spencer. Jeremy stepped out to meet him. They talked briefly, then went inside. Should we follow them? James asked. I shook my head. No need. I installed security cameras last year, inside and outside. They upload to cloud storage. James smiled. You never mentioned that. Never came up, I said, pulling out my phone. I opened the security app and angled the screen so James could see. Spencer and Jeremy were in our living room. Spencer was taking photos. Jeremy was pointing at the house features like he owned the place. I turned up the volume. Should list by the end of the week, Spencer said. I've got a buyer already. Cash offer, as usual. How much? Jeremy asked. $420. Spencer said. We list at $470. They offer $420. Everyone wins. What about the husband? Becky asked. He's causing trouble, Spencer said. He waved his hand dismissively. Military guys are all the same. They talk loud, but they're gone half the year. He'll take a settlement to make it go away. I turned to James. You hearing this? James was already recording the feed on his phone. Every word. I forwarded the security access to Agent Patel with a short message, happening now. 30 minutes later, the house was surrounded by FBI vehicles. I watched from down the street as agents led Spencer and Jeremy out in handcuffs. My phone rang. Agent Patel. We got them on tape discussing the fraud scheme, she said. Wire fraud, conspiracy, selling property under false pretenses. We need a formal statement from you. Of course, I said. And your wife is here, she added. She's distressed. I looked across the street. Becky stood on our lawn, hands over her mouth, watching as FBI agents carried boxes out of the house. What happens to her? I asked. That depends, Patel said, on what she knew and what she want. I stared at Becky. 13 years of marriage, all of it reduced to a few minutes of footage. I just want what's right, I said. The federal case moved fast. Jeremy and Spencer took plea deals, implicating each other and several others in a 3-state scheme targeting military families. Becky insisted she knew nothing. She said Jeremy convinced her I was hiding money and planning to leave her with nothing. She claimed the refinance was his idea, and she just followed along. Maybe that was true. Maybe it wasn't. Either way, she agreed to a settlement, full restitution, no claim to the house or my pension, and a signed confession about the forgery. In return, I didn't press charges. The divorce was finalized 6 months after the email from Kandahar. No fault, clean break. All things considered, on the day the last paperwork was signed, Agent Patel called. Jeremy Ryan was sentenced to 8 years for fraud, conspiracy, and identity theft. Spencer got 12. I thought you'd want to know. Thank you, I said. There's something else, she added. We found evidence. They targeted 11 other military families. Your case helped build the pattern. Those families might get their money back because of you. After we hung up, I sat on the porch of my rental apartment watching the sunset, thinking about those other families, other soldiers who returned to empty homes. I hadn't planned on bringing down Jeremy and Spencer's operation. I just wanted what was mine. My phone buzzed. A text from Becky. I never meant for things to end this way. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. A year later, I sold the house. I couldn't stay there. Too many memories, too much betrayal. I used the money to buy a small cabin outside Missoula, Montana. 2 bedrooms. 10 acres. A creek behind it. No neighbors 4 miles. I took early retirement from the army. 20 years was enough. I got a dog, a German Shepherd named Scout, and started doing carpentry work. Nothing fancy, but it kept my hands busy. My pension covered the rest. Sometimes I thought about Becky. James heard she moved back to Oregon, starting over at another dental office. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't feel much at all, honestly. She made her choices. So did I. One evening, a letter arrived from a woman in Fort Worth. Her husband was in the Navy, deployed when Jeremy and Spencer tried to target her. The FBI had given her my name. You don't know me, she wrote, but you saved our home. Thank you. We're fighting back when it would have been easier to walk away. I read it twice, then pinned it to the refrigerator. Some days, when the silence got too loud, I looked at that letter and remembered something good had come from all of it. Last I heard, Jeremy and Spencer were still in prison. The system worked for once. As for me, I was building something new, something that couldn't be stolen or forged or betrayed. Something that was just mine.